At exactly 12:05 a.m., someone knocked on my bedroom door. I was half asleep, so I almost ignored it. Then came a second knock. When I opened the door, Alex Morgan was standing there. Alex, the college golden boy. Rich, popular, handsome. The guy who never looked nervous about anything. Except tonight. "Get dressed," he said. I stared at him. "What?" "I want you to come with me tonight." "Where?" "A party." I blinked. "Alex, it's after midnight." He gave me a nervous smile. "I know." Then he looked directly into my eyes and added, "But tonight, stay with me." I had no idea that those 7 words would change everything between us. My name is Cameron Reed. I'm 26, a college student, and for almost a year, Alex Morgan had been my roommate. If you saw us together during the day, you'd probably think we were just 2 completely different guys sharing an apartment. I was quiet. I liked late-night studying, old movies, and coffee strong enough to keep me awake through a 3-hour lecture. Alex was the opposite. He was the guy everyone knew. He came from a wealthy family, wore expensive clothes without trying to show them off, and somehow managed to walk across campus without going 10 feet before someone called his name. People called him the golden boy. Professors liked him. Students admired him. And girls seemed to know everything about him. At least that's what everyone thought. Living with him had shown me a different Alex. He wasn't always confident. Sometimes he came home exhausted and dropped onto the couch without saying a word. Sometimes he stood in front of the refrigerator for 5 minutes without knowing what he wanted. And sometimes, late at night, we'd sit in the kitchen and talk about things he never talked about with anyone else. Still, we had always been casual roommates. Friends, maybe. Nothing more. At least, that's what I told myself. So when Alex stood at my door at 12:05 a.m., I couldn't understand why. He looked so nervous. "You're serious?" I asked. "Very." "What kind of party?" He hesitated. "An off-campus party." I laughed. "Then definitely no." "Why?" "Because I have class tomorrow." "It's Friday." I stared at him. He smiled. "Exactly." I sighed. "Where is it?" "About 20 minutes from here." "And why do you need me there?" His smile disappeared for a second. "I just want you there." Something about the way he said it made my chest feel strange. "Give me 10 minutes." His face immediately brightened. 5, 10, fine. I closed the door. 5 minutes later, I heard Alex laughing outside. "You said 10. I changed my mind." He laughed again, and somehow that made me smile. We drove to a large house just outside the city. The place was already packed when we arrived. Music shook the walls. Cars covered the street. People were standing on the porch and spilling into the backyard. The moment Alex walked inside, everything changed. People noticed him. "Alex, man, you're finally here. Where have you been?" 3 of his friends immediately pulled him into conversation. I stayed a few steps behind. I expected Alex to disappear into the crowd. Instead, he turned around. "Cameron." I looked up. "Come here." I walked toward him. He placed a hand lightly on my shoulder. "This is Cameron." One of his friends smiled. "Yeah, we know. Your roommate." Alex nodded. "My roommate." For some reason, I noticed the way he said those 2 words. It sounded almost protective. His friend looked at me. "Nice to finally meet you." "You too." Alex didn't move his hand from my shoulder. A few minutes later, someone asked him to join a group in the living room. Alex looked at me. "You coming? I thought you wanted to see your friends."
Ido.
"Then go." He shook his head.
No.
"Stay with me." There it was again. That strange feeling. I followed him. For the next hour, Alex stayed unusually close. When someone asked me a question, he listened. When I moved toward the kitchen, he followed. When someone offered me a drink, he asked, "You good?" I smiled. "I'm fine." "You sure?" "Alex, I'm 26. I can survive a party." He laughed. "I know." "Then stop checking on me." He looked at me for a second. "I can't." I didn't know what to say. Before I could ask what he meant, someone called his name from across the room. Alex turned, and his expression changed. Sophie was walking toward us. Sophie had dated Alex for almost a year. She was beautiful, confident, and very aware of the effect she had on people. She stopped in front of Alex. Alex! He looked uncomfortable. Hey, Sophie. You never told me you were coming tonight. I didn't know I was coming until tonight. Her eyes moved toward me. Oh, Alex noticed. This is Cameron. She smiled. Your roommate. Yeah. Sophie looked at him again. You two seem close. Alex didn't answer. She stepped closer and touched his arm. You still owe me a conversation. I don't think tonight is the right time. She smiled. When is it ever the right time with you? Then she leaned closer and whispered something in his ear. I looked away. I told myself I didn't care. Alex could talk to Sophie. He could flirt with her. He could even get back together with her if he wanted. I had no right to feel anything. But then Sophie laughed and placed her hand on Alex's chest. Alex didn't immediately move away. Something inside me tightened. I stepped back. Alex noticed. Cameron, I'm going home. His expression changed immediately. What?
I'm tired.
We just got here. You stay. Why? I forced a smile. Sophie is here. She doesn't matter. I looked at him. She clearly matters enough. That isn't what this is. I shook my head. You don't have to explain. I turned and walked toward the door. Cameron, wait. I kept walking. Cameron. I stepped outside. The cool night air hit my face. I heard the front door open behind me. Alex. Of course. He caught up with me near the driveway. Why did you leave? I turned around. Why did you bring me? He stared at me. What? You heard me. I wanted you there. Why? He didn't answer. I laughed softly. You don't know, do you? I know exactly why. Then tell me. He stepped closer. Because I wanted to spend tonight with you. My heart skipped. Alex. I know how this looks. Do you? Yes. Because it doesn't look like friendship anymore. He went quiet. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then Alex looked at me in a way I'd never seen before. Not like a roommate. Not like a friend. Something deeper. I didn't bring you because I needed someone to go to a party with. Then why? His eyes stayed on mine. Because when you're with me. He stopped. When I'm with you, what? He took a slow breath. You make me forget who everyone expects me to be. My heart started beating faster. Alex stepped closer. I like being around you, Cameron. I whispered. Alex. His eyes dropped to my lips for the briefest moment. Then he looked back into my eyes. I've been trying to tell you. His phone suddenly rang. Alex froze. He pulled it from his pocket. The name on the screen made all the warmth disappear from his face. Dad. Alex looked at me, then at the phone. And suddenly, I realized, whatever he had been about to say was something he was afraid of. Something his perfect golden boy life might never allow him to say. Alex stared at his father's name on the screen. For a moment, he didn't answer. Are you going to pick up? I asked. He nodded slowly. Yeah. He stepped a few feet away.
That.
I couldn't hear the other side, but I could see Alex's face. The confident guy I knew was disappearing. Yes, I'm at a party. No, I'm not drinking. I know. A pause. Yes, Dad. Another pause. His shoulders dropped. I understand. He looked at me, then quickly looked away. Yes, I'll handle it. He ended the call. I waited. What did he want? Alex slipped his phone into his pocket. Nothing. Alex. It's fine. You don't look fine. He gave me a small smile.
I'm okay.
I knew he was lying, but before I could ask again, he said, Come with me. Where? Somewhere quiet. We walked back toward the house, but instead of going inside, Alex led me around the side of the property. There was a small path behind the house that led to a quiet rooftop terrace. The music was barely audible from there. The city lights stretched across the horizon. Alex leaned against the railing. I stood beside him. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I asked, What's going on with your dad? Alex laughed without humor. My dad. What about him? He thinks my life is a business plan. I looked at him. He has everything planned. Your classes. My classes. Your career. My career. Your friends. He nodded. My image. I frowned. What does that mean? Alex looked out at the city. My family has a reputation. I know your family is well known. It's more than that. He took a breath. My father expects me to be perfect. I didn't say anything. Perfect grades. Perfect friends. Perfect relationships. Perfect future. He smiled bitterly. Everything has to look right. And you're tired of it. He looked at me. Sometimes. Sometimes. Most of the time. I had never heard Alex say that before. The guy everyone admired suddenly looked like someone who had been carrying a weight alone for years. He turned toward me. Everyone thinks they know me. His voice became softer. But you don't. I raised an eyebrow. What? You actually see me? My heart skipped. Alex continued. You see when I'm tired. You know when I'm pretending to be okay. You know I hate those huge family dinners. You know I can't sleep when my dad is angry. I looked down. I just live with you.
No.
He shook his head. You listen. The distance between us felt smaller. I don't know why, he whispered. But when I'm with you, I don't have to pretend. I looked into his eyes. Alex. He stepped closer. I brought you tonight because I wanted you beside me. You could have said that. I was scared. Of me.
No.
Then what? Of what it meant. Neither of us moved. His eyes stayed on mine. I like. His phone rang again. Alex closed his eyes. This time he didn't answer. The phone stopped, then started again. He looked at the screen. His father's name. He answered. Yes. His expression changed. I'm coming home. He ended the call. I knew immediately that something had gone wrong. What happened? Nothing. Alex. He looked at me, and suddenly, the warmth in his eyes disappeared. Forget tonight. I froze. What? It meant nothing. I stared at him. You just spent the last 10 minutes telling me how much you wanted me here. I shouldn't have. Why? Because I was confused. I felt my chest tighten. Confused about what? Everything. He stepped back. You're my roommate, Cameron. I swallowed. And that's all. He didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any words could have. I nodded slowly. Okay. Cameron.
No.
I turned away. It's fine. It wasn't. But I wasn't going to let him see that. The next morning, Alex walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. Morning. I looked up from my coffee. Morning. He opened the refrigerator. You have class at 10? Yeah. Okay. That was it.
No epaleji. No explanation.
No mention of the rooftop. So I decided to do the same. I pretended nothing happened. For the next few days, we became experts at pretending. Alex came home. I went to my room. I came into the kitchen. He suddenly remembered something he needed to do. We could spend 30 minutes in the same apartment without saying more than 2 words. And somehow that was worse than fighting. One evening, I came home and found Alex sitting on the couch. He looked at me. Hey, hey. He opened his mouth. I waited, but he said nothing. I went to my room. I told myself I didn't care, but I did. I cared more than I wanted to admit. Then Alex started avoiding me completely. He stopped asking me to eat with him, stopped waiting for me after class, stopped knocking on my door. Felt like he was trying to erase that night. And slowly, I convinced myself that he regretted everything. Then, one afternoon, something happened that changed everything. I was looking for an old psychology textbook in the living room. Alex kept a messy bookshelf beside his desk. I reached for one book. Another slipped forward. Then a thin black notebook fell to the floor. I picked it up. I recognized Alex's handwriting on the cover. I should have put it back. I knew that. But the notebook had fallen open. And the first thing I saw was my name. Cameron. I froze. I looked around the empty apartment. Then I read the next line. Today Cameron fell asleep on the couch while we were watching a movie. I wanted to wake him, but he looked peaceful. I stared at the page. I turned it. Another entry. Cameron laughed at dinner tonight. I don't know why that sound makes my entire day better. Another page. Everyone keeps asking why I spend so much time with my roommate. My hands started shaking. Then I found another line. I wish I could tell him why I keep inviting him after midnight. I stopped. My heart was pounding. I read it again. I wish I could tell him why I keep inviting him after midnight. The party hadn't been random. The midnight invitations hadn't been random. Alex had been trying to find excuses to be around me. I turned another page. There were dates from months earlier. Months. He had been writing about me long before that party. Then I found one sentence that completely broke through every lie I'd been telling myself. I think I'm falling for Cameron, and I'm terrified of what happens if he ever finds out. I closed the notebook. Couldn't breathe. Alex had feelings for me. Real feelings. Long before that night. And suddenly, his behavior at the party made sense. The nervous knock. The strange invitation. The way he kept looking at me. The rooftop. The almost confession. And then the phone call. His father's voice had changed everything. I sat on the couch, staring at the notebook in my hands. For the first time, I understood something. Alex hadn't rejected me because he felt nothing. He had pushed me away because he felt too much. But there was one question I still couldn't answer. What exactly was his father threatening him with? I didn't have to wait long to find out. The following week, Alex came home late. I was sitting in the kitchen when he walked through the door. He looked exhausted. His phone was still in his hand. Everything okay? I asked. He stopped. Yeah. Your dad. Alex looked at me. For a moment I thought he might finally tell me. Instead, he said, "It's complicated." What is? My future. I frowned. What does that mean? He gave me a tired smile. Forget it. He walked toward his room. I watched him disappear behind the door. I wanted to follow him. I wanted to tell him I had read the notebook. I wanted to tell him I knew. But something stopped me. Maybe I was afraid. Maybe I wanted him to tell me himself. So I stayed silent. And that silence would cost both of us. Because while Alex was fighting a battle with his father behind closed doors, rumors were beginning to spread across campus. And this time, everyone was going to hear about us. The first rumor started on a Monday morning. I was walking across campus when two students passed behind me. That's him. The roommate. Yeah, Alex Morgan's roommate. I kept walking. I pretended I hadn't heard. By lunch, there were more. Someone had posted a picture from the party. Alex and me standing together. His hand on my shoulder. The caption was simple. Golden Boy's new favorite? I stared at the screen. My stomach dropped. By the afternoon, everyone seemed to know. Some people laughed. Some whispered. Others stared at me when I walked past. I told myself it didn't matter. But it did. Because Alex wasn't beside me. He had become distant again. And that made everything worse. I found him outside the library that evening. Alex. He turned. Hey, did you see what's going around? His face tightened. Yeah. And I'll deal with it. With what? The rumors. I stared at him. People are talking about me. I know. They're making jokes. I know. Then why aren't you saying anything? He looked around. There were students nearby. His voice dropped. Not here. That one sentence hurt. Right? I nodded. Not here. I walked away. That night, Alex came home late. I was sitting on the couch. He stopped when he saw me. Cameron, where were you? Talking to my dad. I looked at him. About the rumors? He didn't answer. That was enough. What did he say? Alex rubbed his forehead. He knows. Knows what? About us. I froze. There is no us. Alex looked at me. I know. The words came out quietly, but they hurt. I stood up. Then why did he call you? Because he thinks I'm getting too close to you. I stared at him. And what does he want you to do? Alex looked away. Stay away from you. Silence filled the room. I whispered, "And what do you want?" Alex looked at me. "I don't know." That answer broke something inside me. "You don't know? My entire future is tied to my family. So that's it. Cameron, you're going to let him decide who you can care about?" Alex's jaw tightened. "You don't understand." "Then explain it." He went silent. "My father has spent my whole life building a future for me. And you're going to live it for him? I don't have a choice." "You always have a choice." He looked at me. "Not when everyone I love is on the other side of it." I stepped closer. "Then what am I?" Alex's eyes filled with emotion. "You're the person I'm trying not to lose." I froze. For 1 second, I thought he was finally going to choose me. Then he stepped back. "I need time." I nodded. "Take all the time you need." I walked into my room and closed the door. But the rumors didn't stop. They got worse. By Wednesday, people were saying Alex had fallen in love with his roommate. By Thursday, someone claimed Alex had broken up with Sophie because of me. By Friday, people were openly laughing. I tried to ignore them. I really did. But there was only so much a person could take. That afternoon, I was walking through the student center when someone called out, "Hey, Cameron." I turned. A group of students were sitting together. One of them smiled. "Where's your boyfriend?" Everyone laughed. I looked around. Alex was there, across the room. He heard them. Our eyes met. I waited. I wanted him to say something. Anything. But Alex stayed silent. That was the moment I stopped waiting. I walked straight toward him. "Alex." He looked nervous. "Cameron, not here?" I laughed. "That's always your answer." People around us started watching. "You were brave enough to knock on my door at 12:05 a.m. Alex said nothing. "You were brave enough to take me to that party." His eyes lowered. "You were brave enough to almost tell me how you felt." "Cameron." "But you're not brave enough to stand beside me in daylight." The room became silent. Alex looked at me. I could see the pain in his face, but I needed him to understand mine. "You wanted me when nobody was watching." I swallowed hard. "But when everybody started watching, you disappeared." "I never wanted to hurt you." "You did." His face fell. "I know." I shook my head. "I don't need you to protect me from rumors." "I was trying to protect you from my family." "You were protecting yourself." He didn't answer. I stepped back. "That night, you made me feel like I was the one person you wanted." My voice cracked. "And then you told me it meant nothing." Alex closed his eyes. "I was scared." "I know." I looked at him. "But I'm tired of being the secret you're afraid to admit." I turned and walked away. This time, Alex didn't follow me. The next morning, his room was almost empty. I stood in the doorway. "What's happening?" Alex was packing a suitcase. He looked at me. "I'm leaving." My chest tightened. "What?" "My father arranged a transfer." "You're transferring?" "Yes." "When?" "Tomorrow." I stared at him. "You're really leaving?" He nodded. "It's easier this way." "For who?" He didn't answer. I stepped into the room. "You're running away." "I don't know what else to do." "You could stay." "I can't." "You could fight." Alex looked at me. "I've been fighting my whole life." "Then fight for something that matters." His eyes filled with emotion. "You think this is easy for me?"
No. I'm terrified, Cameron.
He sat on the edge of the bed. "My father has controlled almost every major decision in my life." He looked down. "When I told him I wanted to change my major, he said no. When I wanted to move off campus, he said no. When I wanted to stop seeing Sophie, he said it would damage the family image." I stared at him. "And now me?" Alex nodded. "Now you." He looked at me. "He told me if I keep choosing you, I lose everything." My voice became quiet. "What does everything mean?" "My tuition, my future job, my place in the family business." I swallowed. "And you're choosing them." Alex looked away. "I don't know how to choose between the life I've been given and the life I actually want." I wanted to tell him I loved him, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I said, I hope one day you figure it out. He looked at me. I hope so too. The next morning, Alex left.
No dramatic goodbye. No kiss. No promise.
Just a suitcase, a quiet hallway, and the sound of the front door closing. For the first time in almost a year, I was living alone. I told myself I would move on. I told myself Alex had made his choice. Then Sophie found me. She was standing outside the coffee shop on campus. Can we talk? I almost walked away, but something in her expression stopped me. What? She looked uncomfortable. I need to tell you something. I crossed my arms. What? That night at the party.
Isterte her.
What about it?
Elite.
I frowned. What did you lie about? She took a breath. Alex wasn't interested in me. I said nothing. He kept asking where you were. My heart started beating faster. He kept looking for you. Why would you tell everyone something else? She looked down. Because I was angry. Angry? I wanted Alex back. She swallowed. When I realized he wasn't looking at me anymore, I got jealous.
Isterte her.
So the rumors? I started some of them. I shook my head. Why? Because I wanted to hurt him. She looked at me. I didn't realize I was hurting you too. I didn't know what to say. Then she added, Cameron, Alex cared about you before that party. My heart stopped. How do you know? Because he told me. When? Months ago.
Isterte her.
He said he didn't know what to do about you. I remembered the notebook, the late-night invitations, the rooftop, the almost confession. Everything suddenly connected. Alex hadn't been confused about his feelings. He had been afraid of them. I ran back to our apartment. I opened his room. His desk was empty. His closet was empty. But then I noticed something under the bed. A small envelope. My name was written on it. Cameron. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single page. Alex had written, I wanted to tell you the truth. The party was never the reason I came to your door at 12:05. You were. I kept finding excuses to invite you out because midnight was the only time I felt brave enough to be honest. I loved the way you looked at me when you thought nobody else was watching. I loved the way you understood me without asking questions. And I was terrified that if I told you the truth, I would lose everything. But losing myself has been worse. I couldn't read anymore. I grabbed my keys. I knew where Alex would be. The old football field. The place he always went when he needed to be alone. And this time, I wasn't going to let him leave without hearing the truth. I found Alex at the old football field just before sunset. He was sitting alone in the bleachers, staring at the empty field. His suitcase was beside him. For a few seconds I just stood there. Then I said his name. Alex. He looked up. His eyes widened. Cameron? I walked toward him. You were really going to leave without telling me everything? He looked down. I thought it was better this way. For who? He didn't answer. I sat beside him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I held up the letter. I found this. Alex's face changed. You weren't supposed to find that. I know. He looked away. I wrote it because I couldn't say it. Then say it now. Alex took a slow breath. The party wasn't about the party. I know. The midnight invitation wasn't random. I know. I didn't bring you because I needed someone to go with. I looked at him. Then why? He finally met my eyes. Because I wanted you. My heart tightened. I wanted you beside me. He swallowed. I had been thinking about you for months. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared. Of me.
No.
He shook his head. Of everything that would happen after. I waited. My father knew I was getting close to you. Alex looked down at his hands. He told me I was making a mistake. He said people would talk. He said it would hurt the family name. He told me I had a future to protect. I whispered, and you believed him. For a while. He looked at me. Then that night, when you walked away from the party, I realized I cared more about losing you than I cared about looking perfect. I felt tears building in my eyes. But you still told me it meant nothing. I know. Why? Because my father called. Alex's voice became quieter. He told me he knew exactly what was happening between us. He took a breath. And he gave me a choice. What choice? Walk away from you? Or lose the future he had planned for me? I stared at him. And you chose the future. Alex nodded. I thought I had to. I looked down. But you still left. I thought leaving would make things easier. It didn't.
No.
He smiled sadly. It made everything worse. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Alex reached toward my hand. He stopped just before touching it. Can I? I looked at him. Then I placed my hand in his. His fingers closed around mine. It was such a simple thing. But it felt bigger than any confession. You know what hurt the most? I asked. What? Not the rumors. Alex looked at me. It wasn't Sophie. He stayed quiet. It wasn't even your father. I squeezed his hand. It was watching you look at me like you wanted to say something, and then watching you choose silence. Alex's eyes filled with regret. I know. I smiled sadly. You were brave enough to invite me. At midnight. He looked at me. But you weren't brave enough to hold my hand in daylight. Alex's eyes moved down to our hands. Then he looked back at me. I am now. He stood. I looked at him. What are you doing? Alex turned toward the parking lot. A few students were walking across campus. He didn't let go of my hand. Alex! I spent my whole life worrying about who was watching. He took a breath. I don't want to do that anymore. He started walking. I followed. We walked across campus together. People looked at us. Some whispered. A few stopped and stared. Alex didn't let go. We passed the student center. The same place where people had laughed at me. One of the students who had joked about us was standing outside. He looked at our hands. Then at Alex. Alex simply smiled.
No explanation. No apology. No hiding.
Just a choice. And for the first time, I understood what Alex had been trying to tell me all along. He didn't need to become fearless. He only needed to stop letting fear make his decisions. The next few weeks weren't perfect. Alex's father was furious. There were difficult conversations. There were arguments. There were days when Alex doubted himself. But he stayed. He didn't suddenly fix his relationship with his family. He didn't magically become confident. He simply stopped pretending. And slowly, things began to change. Alex started making his own choices. He changed his plans for the future. He stopped letting his father's expectations control every part of his life. And, most importantly, he stopped treating me like something he had to hide. We didn't make some huge announcement on campus. We didn't need to. People eventually stopped talking. Rumors always do. They get boring when there's no secret left to discover. Our relationship became something simple. Morning coffee, late-night study sessions, walking to class together, fighting over who forgot to buy groceries, laughing at stupid movies, and sometimes, when nobody else was around, Alex would look at me with that same nervous smile from the night he knocked on my door. One evening, I caught him staring. What? He smiled. Nothing. You're staring. I know. Why? He shrugged. I still can't believe you opened that door. I laughed. You were annoying. I was nervous. You? Yes, me. The golden boy? He rolled his eyes. Don't call me that. Why? Because I don't want to be the golden boy. What do you want to be? He looked at me. Yours. I smiled. That was smooth. I practiced. I laughed. Then he leaned closer and gave me a soft kiss. Nothing dramatic. Nothing forced. Just warm and honest. For once, there was no fear behind it. No secret. No reason to pull away. And then, several weeks later, something happened that made me smile before I even opened the door. It was Friday night, 12:05 a.m. I was reading in my room when I heard a knock. I looked at the clock. 12:05. I already knew who it was. I opened the door. Alex was standing there. He was wearing a simple black hoodie. No expensive jacket. No crowd behind him. No party. Just Alex. I crossed my arms. Another party? He smiled.
No.
Then why are you here? He stepped closer. I wanted to see you. I smiled. That's it. That's it. He held out his hand. I looked at it, then at him. What's this? An invitation. To what? He smiled. To spend the night with me. I raised an eyebrow. Doing what? Anything. I laughed. You're terrible at making plans. I know. He took a small step closer. But this time, I'm not asking you to come with me so I can hide. His expression became serious. I'm asking because I want you beside me. I felt my chest warm. You finally learned. I had a good teacher. Who? You. I smiled. Alex reached for my hand. This time he didn't hesitate. He pulled me into a warm hug. I rested my head against his shoulder. For a few seconds we just stood there. Then Alex whispered, I should have told you the truth that first night. You were scared. I was terrified. And now, he pulled back slightly and looked into my eyes. I'm still scared. I laughed softly. But I'm not running. He leaned closer. I love you, Cameron. The words were quiet, simple, but they were everything I had been waiting to hear. I smiled. I love you too. Alex kissed me softly. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Can I ask you something? What? Will you come with me? I smiled. Where? He laughed. Nowhere. I looked confused. I just want you here. I wrapped my arms around him. Then I'm staying. Outside, the campus was quiet. The same hour that had once been a hiding place had become something completely different. 12:05 a.m. was no longer the time Alex needed darkness to tell me how he felt. It was simply the time he came to my door because he wanted to be with me. And maybe that was what love really was. Not hiding. Not pretending. Not choosing someone only when nobody was watching. Real love was having every reason to be afraid, and still choosing the person standing beside you. Because the golden boy finally learned something his perfect life had never taught him. You don't become brave by losing your fear. You become brave when you stop letting fear decide who you love. If Alex and Cameron's story touched your heart, don't leave just yet. Red heart. Tell me in the comments. Would you have forgiven Alex after he said, it meant nothing? If you enjoyed this emotional love story, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more unforgettable gay romance stories. And remember, sometimes the person standing beside you at 12:05 a.m. is the person you've been waiting for all along. Red heart. I'll see you in the next story.